The modern car world, the motoring industry, has gone bonkers with designs and everything. For instance, modern cars are being manufactured with unique features that any other manufacturer doesn't have, or they have but not as standard options on the car. So on the episode today, we're going to look at one of the most unique mid-size crossover SUV cars that has come from the mainstream manufacturers. And Range Rover, which is a baby Land Rover for those who know it. So for this is a Range Rover Evoque. Little history about the Range Rover Evoque. This car was designed through 2006-2008 and launched in the year 2011. So the Range Rover Evoque came into production in 2011, and its first generation ran from 2011 to 2018. So ideally, this car was manufactured to replace the Freelander Sport. You know, in the Land Rover lineup, we used to have the Land Rover Freelander as the baby Land Rover, and then the Land Rover Defender, Land Rover Discovery, then there was the Range Rover Vogue, and then in between the Defender and the Vogue, there came the Range Rover Sport in between. So that is how the Evoque came to existence. Now, looking at the design of this car, we can see some beautiful lights here, very minimalistic, a bit tiny but very effective. Some LED reflections and parking lights there. We have the dual xenon headlights over there that have the auto dimming feature. You can see the grille here with some of honeycomb finish onto that, and the outstanding Range Rover or Land Rover at times logo there. So on the bumper here, we also have these LED fog lights that have been incorporated on the bumper, and then down here we have parking sensors for front, and we also have the same at the back. Down here we can see the sweeping design here and the cuts that just make it beautiful, outstanding compared to the other manufacturers. So this here is sitting on the 18-inch wheels. It starts with the 17 and goes up to 21s, but yeah, he's sitting on the 18. So we have minimal design, nothing much going on here other than the skirts here, and then the car is a bit smaller than the Range Rover Sport, but just to sit in that class to compete with the likes of the Toyota RAV4, compete with the likes of Hyundai Santa Fe and a BMW X3 perhaps. So coming at the back here, the fuel filler cap. So again, the minimalistic design here with the rear taillights. So you can see how they were incorporated LEDs and not like the halogen lights that were a bit longer and wider on the Freelander 2. SD4 here denoting this engine is turbo diesel 4-cylinder. So this is a 4-cylinder engine that we will talk about when we look at it at the front. So looking at it, it has automatic tailgate that has stages to open a bit and then fully up. So the boot space here is not as big, but just enough for your handy luggage and small things from your shopping. Of course, with the rear seats that would fall flat to the front, then it can give you up to about 800 liters. At the corners here, you have tethering points that you can tie down some of your shopping. 12-volt power outlet from the boot. So inside here is where things really unfold for Land Rover in their modern designs. We can see at the center console here we have again minimalistic design of not a lot of things going on here. But now as we start from here, on the second generation of this car, we have a touchscreen here for operations and things, and then one here for infotainment and such. So you look at the dashboard, is made out of very soft leather that wraps around, including the steering wheel here is also wrapped in leather. So on some of the controls we have here, we just have controls for telephone and Bluetooth, and then we have for your stereo and configurations on the clock. So we have 2 analog dials for the speedo and the tachometer, and then we have a digital display at the middle for your various configuration and information on the car. So the seats in here are very comfortable, also made with very good leather. A lot of cows died for this to happen, so very good leather that wraps around you and hugs you with these bolsters that will prevent you from moving side to side when the driver tries to do a few gymnastics over tight bends. So we also have 2 cup holders here for your drinks if you have, with a 12 volt socket here for power outlet as well. We also have some storage cabin here that has your USB port as well as your iPod or your auxiliary connectivity, and an extra power outlet over there as well. This also serves as an armrest. Looking up here, we have control for the moonroof. So this car here is, just put the ignition on there. So this car here has the optional panoramic roof, which is sort of a moonroof that only allows light to come in and not open like a normal sunroof. So that is how that is. And then your traditional lights over here that will use your hand gestures to come on and off. For instance, if you just do like that, the lights will come on like so, they will come in, and then if I just blind it again, they will go off. That is some of the tech things that Land Rover does. So on the screen here, on the main infotainment screen here, you will have information about your radio, navigation, your configuration and setup for the car that you can enjoy in this car. Gear lever, the shifter sort of. So on the earlier versions of Land Rover, when you had this rotary knob here, that would be fitted for the uprated 8-speed ZF8 HP 8-speed gearbox for these cars. The stick coming out, that was traditional for the ZF 6-speed that was fitted to the Discovery 3 and 4, Range Rover Sport, Vogue and such. So down here we have these buttons here that you use to go through or go over the Land Rover traditional terrain response system, where you have off-road, mud and ruts, sand and grass and such. So here again we have your dynamic stability control that you can put on and off, and there we have a button for your hill descent control that when you engage that, so you can use that when you're going down very deep slopes. So you just press on the button and the car will do the maneuvering, braking and just controlling where the power needs to go and which wheel needs to be locked up for you to go down the slope smoothly. Under here we have a glove box that is very sizable. You can fit a number of things in here and hide them away. On the door bins there we have a pocket for a few things as well as storage, with metallic finish on the door here, with a very good 10-speaker Meridian sound system that you can enjoy in this. So Land Rover normally fits Meridian sound system as well as Harman Kardon as their premium sound system with 10-speaker options in the cars. So here at the back, for cars that have the sunroof or the moonroof, it tends to eat into the space that is found on the roof, so that would make the headroom a bit tight. But for this car, since it's a crossover SUV with a lot of space around it, you can see I have just about enough headroom. And as well, you look at my knee room, although not the biggest because it's not among the biggest or the large SUV, but crossover SUV. So the knee space is okay, because this seat is further back and you still have that amount of space, about 4 inches. So a bit taller people would struggle for space for knee room at the back, but on the average person it's still good headwise and then lengthwise in terms of knee room. In the middle here, if you want to carry 3 abreast here, so the people sitting on the extreme ends will be comfortable. a bit, but not for longer journeys. The person sitting in the middle here, you find that the space is a bit tight. You will be rubbing shoulders against your mates on the other side, and then we don't have enough space here since these seats curve outwards, so you didn't have enough knee room here. You'll be struggling and eating into spaces from the other end to just be able to be comfortable. For this car, it's much comfortable if you carry two at the back for the premium feel, for the luxury feel it has. So at the back here you have some storage space, storage nets here like the airplane style. For a few bits you can put there, and then you have some other storage down here. It's a shame that you do not have an extra charging port here or power outlet, but there's one in the boot. You also have some speakers just over here that will enhance the sound from the back. So sitting here, you can see that it's a bit tight from the boot side. You can only carry a good amount of luggage when you have the seats folding down for you to be able to carry bigger loads, but that would mean you don't have passengers at the back. But still, the seats are well made. They are very spongy. It feels like we have some spring loads into them. Spongy and nicely done. They also hold you well. We have an option of an armrest in the middle here if you're not carrying the middle passenger, and then you have some a bit lousy cup holders that are not so much useful. So here we also have some space that you can use to store a few of your items. Probably hide your wallet in there and forget about it for the next 3 years until you sell your car to the next owner. The finish at the back here as well, if my producer can zoom in, you can see as well the finish is quite good, although the rear doors are a bit short because this car is also shorter, so they don't open that wide. Getting in a child's seat or getting in a person who is a bit bulky can be cumbersome just because of the size of the door. But the windows here open all the way down, so you can have arms resting on this and a bit feel comfortable and enjoy the view outside as you chill out on the journey. So under the bonnet we have a 2.2 turbo diesel 4-cylinder engine here. So the genesis of this engine came into existence as from 2000. It was designed by PSM, Pujo Citroen by then, and then when they had a business partnership, not really a merger, with Ford, and at that time Ford was owning Land Rover. That's how some of these Ford units got their way into Land Rover. So we have a 2.2 turbo diesel that is capable of producing about just over 170 brake horsepower with nearly 300 Newton meters of torque, mated to either a 6-speed automatic or a 6-speed manual, or at times an 8-speed ZF transmission. Problems or trouble with these engines have not been so common with this type of car as compared to how they were problematic in the Defender, the Land Rover Defender Puma, as well as in the Ford Ranger that were fitted with this particular engine. So things to look out from this engine are just things like normal engine service. Make sure you do your oil changes, make sure you do your filter changes, as well as make sure you do your general maintenance for the car. But nothing in particular, although under a lot of stress, under a lot of heavy usage, these engines have had histories of main bearings failing, as well as the turbo going out. So however sensitive you become with your car is how much the car may give you in terms of reliability. Contrary to that, we all know what happens with Land Rovers and reliability. We are Aso Nation, and this is what we bring you, and many more. If you have gone up to this far, please subscribe. Make sure you click on the bell to make sure that all the videos we do here you get notified. So getting into the Evoque, let's put it in drive here, parking brake off. So first of all, it's not one of the quietest engines. We have a lot of feedback in terms of a lot of noise coming through the cabin. You can pick that up from the mic. If you're keen enough, you can get some noise from the diesel rattling engine over there, like so. But yeah, generally the car rides smooth. The suspension is soft. This car has the option of the conventional coil springs and shock, but as well on the extreme end of it, the HSE, you would find them with air suspension. The drive here feels nice and smooth. You sit a bit higher than the competitors in this class, so you have a very good command of the road ahead. You can look over some of the drivers in the smaller cars. So if you look at this A pillar here, it's not the smallest, but again it's not one of the biggest. You don't have a big sort of blind spot from this angle or this corner here, but just about it. The door mirrors as well, they are big but just proportional to the car as well. You have a very nice view from what is coming from that side, from that end at the back, as well as on the other side as well. So you sit comfortably, you enjoy the view, you enjoy the ride as you go. How the thing takes corners with the suspension, it's not a sports car, so it's not set up as hard for cornering and handling, but is just set up like normal crossover SUV, a passenger vehicle that is aimed at being comfortable and very smooth on the roads. So this car has also options of 2-liter turbo petrol engines. So you would find one, the EcoBoost Ford unit, and then there's the other one, the Ingenium, also turbo petrol 2-liter as well, from Ford petrol units. So those ones are good and much quieter, much smooth, with more power, but a little bit less torque than the diesel one. Of course, you know, diesel engines churn out more torque than the petrol ones. So maintenance for this car is not really a huge problem if you forget about the Land Rover and reliability stories. Make sure you do your gearbox services, make sure you do your engine services in good time, and as well make sure you attend to tiny things like your suspension geometry in terms of alignment, wheel balancing, as well as looking at your bushes when you have driven it for over some time. Probably after every 100,000 kilometers you have to do some attention on the bushes and such, and just a range of between 50,000 and 100,000 kilometers, somewhere in between there, you do your transmission service. But then the engine service intervals are anywhere from 3,000 miles or 5,000 kilometers to 10,000 kilometers with fully synthetic engine oil and of course genuine filters. So when these cars start aging, you would find issues with some of the electronics, but it's not a nightmare. You would want to just check whether you have the sun. If you have the sunroof, check whether the drains through here and the other sides, if they are clogged, and unclog them and make sure that water ingress doesn't happen, because that is what eats up the electrical harnesses and gets onto some of the modules that operate items or things in this car. So overall, it's a nice car. If you are looking at a mid-size crossover SUV that you would want to put your money on, and you're not in the Japanese market, the Toyota RAV4, the Honda CRV, the Hyundai Tucson, those are the Koreans now, but you can look at something European that is not German, then definitely you need to look at the Range Rover Evoque, which will give you value for your money at a premium cost probably. And probably the cost of maintenance as well for Land Rover parts and maintenance tends to be a bit higher than the rest of the manufacturers. So guys, thank you so much for getting to this point. Again, if you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe, make sure you click the notification button, get notified as soon as we upload, and stay tuned for the next more videos. Cheers, see you in the next one.